I sold your motorcycle to have money when I hang out, my 25-year-old brother Matt said with a casual shrug, not even looking up from his phone. My stomach dropped as the words hit me. That motorcycle, my glossy black Harley-Davidson Sportster, had taken me 3 years to save for, working double shifts at the hospital. It was the first major purchase I'd made after paying off my student loans. You what? I managed to say, my voice barely above a whisper. Matt finally glanced up, rolling his eyes like I was overreacting to him borrowing a sweater. Chill out. You barely even ride it anymore. I got us $3,000 for it, which is pretty good considering how old it was. The Sportster was 2 years old. I'd paid $9,500 for it. I just stood there in our garage. No, my garage. In my house where I'd let him stay temporarily after he lost his third job in 2 years. 8 months ago. The empty space where my bike should have been seemed to pulse with my heartbeat. Who did you sell it to? I asked, my voice eerily calm even to my own ears. He shrugged again, that infuriating gesture I'd seen 1,000 times. Some guy from Facebook Marketplace? Don't worry, he seemed legit. Then he had the audacity to grin. Want to order pizza tonight? I can pay now. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I simply nodded, turned around, and walked back into my house. Behind me, I heard Matt call out, "So, pizza?" I closed the door, leaned against it, and for the first time in years, I made a decision about my brother that wasn't clouded by guilt or obligation. This morning, he woke up to find all his belongings packed in trash bags on the driveway. But that was just the beginning. Updated. Thanks for all the comments and support, guys. I've never had a post blow up like this. Plenty more to share about my entitled brother and what happened after I packed his bags. Quick answer to popular questions. Yes, I filed a police report right away. Should I have done this years ago? Let me know what you think. Matt and I lost our parents in a car accident when I was 19 and he was 15. With our only other relative being an elderly aunt in Florida, I became Matt's legal guardian. I put my nursing school plans on hold, took a full-time job at an insurance company, and moved us from our childhood home into a small apartment I could afford. Every decision I made was about keeping us together, keeping him in the same school, trying to maintain some stability in his life. Even back then, there were signs. Matt would borrow money from my wallet without asking. When confronted, he'd say, "We're family. What's yours is mine, right?" He'd skip school, and when the principal called, he'd tell me I wasn't his mom and couldn't tell him what to do. I chalked it up to grief, to teenage rebellion, to the trauma of losing our parents. I kept making excuses for him. By some miracle, I eventually finished nursing school night classes while working full-time. Matt barely graduated high school and bounced between community college semesters and entry-level jobs, never lasting more than a few months at either. Meanwhile, I saved enough for a down payment on a small house. The day I closed on it, Matt showed up with his bags, having been evicted from his apartment for not paying rent. Just for a few weeks, he promised. That was 3 years ago. Since then, he's contributed exactly zero toward mortgage or utilities. His job hunting consists of scrolling through Indeed for 20 minutes before deciding he's not feeling it today. His room looks like a teenager's, with empty energy drink cans and fast food wrappers creating an archaeological record of his laziness. When I mention rent, he reminds me that I make way more money anyway, and that our parents would want us to look out for each other. That's the guilt card he always plays, and it's always worked. Until now. Until my motorcycle, the one thing I bought purely for myself, my one indulgence after years of responsible saving, disappeared because my 25-year-old brother needed beer money. After securing my house that night, checking for other missing valuables, I discovered my grandmother's pearl earrings were gone from my jewelry box. A quick search through Matt's room revealed a receipt from a pawn shop dated just last week. The next morning, I drove to the shop and found them still there, thankfully. I had to pay $175 to get them back, my own family heirlooms. When I confronted Matt about the earrings, his reaction made my blood boil. Those old things? They were just sitting in your drawer collecting dust. Besides, family helps family, right? The same tired line. When I reminded him that stealing was a crime, even from family, he switched tactics instantly. You know how hard it's been for me since Mom and Dad died? You got to be an adult with them for longer than I did. They'd be so disappointed that you're treating me like this. That afternoon, our mutual friend Kayla called. Apparently, Matt had been texting everyone we knew, claiming I was having a mental breakdown and threatening to kick him out over nothing. According to him, I had gifted him the motorcycle months ago and was now going back on my word because I was jealous of his social life. The deliberate manipulation stunned me. 3 other friends texted asking if I was really going to make Matt homeless over a bike. They didn't even question his story. Updated. Many of you have asked for details about the pawn shop situation. Yes, I had receipts and photos of the earrings to prove ownership. The owner was actually really understanding. As for the motorcycle, I've contacted a lawyer and have started the process. For those wondering whether my brother's behavior is new, unfortunately, no. Do you think someone can change after this level of entitlement? I was folding laundry that night when I found myself staring at the only photo I have of all four of us: Mom, Dad, Matt, and me at Yellowstone, a year before the accident. Dad had his arm around Matt's shoulders, and I remembered what he told us that night by the campfire. Family means having each other's backs, no matter what. For years, I'd interpreted that as letting Matt take advantage of me. But looking at that photo, a moment of clarity hit me. Enabling my brother's behavior wasn't helping him. It wasn't having his back. It was preventing him from ever growing up. I set the photo down and felt something shift inside me. The guilt that had weighed on me for years began to lift. This wasn't what our parents would have wanted for either of us. They would be heartbroken to see what Matt had become, and what I had allowed by never setting boundaries. I didn't need to scream or throw things. I didn't need a dramatic confrontation. What I needed was a plan. I sat down at my kitchen table and made 3 clear decisions. First, Matt would not step foot in my house again unless he agreed to my terms. Second, I would pursue legal channels to recover the value of my motorcycle and other stolen items. Third, I would offer Matt one path back to a relationship with me, but it would be on entirely new terms. For the first time since our parents died, I was choosing to truly take care of both of us, not just him. The next morning, I called in sick to work and executed phase 1 of my plan. I packed all of Matt's belongings in heavy-duty trash bags and stacked them neatly on the driveway. I wasn't cruel about it. I made sure his gaming laptop was properly cushioned, and I even organized his clothes by type. Then I called a locksmith to change all the locks, including the garage door code. I went through the house with my phone, filming everything I owned of value, along with receipts where I had them. I also called the police to file a report about the stolen motorcycle and earrings, specifically naming Matt as the thief. While I was on the phone with the police, Matt came home. I watched through the window as he pulled up, spotted his belongings, and did a double take. His confusion quickly morphed into anger. He tried his key in the front door, then started pounding on it when it didn't work. "What the hell is this?" he shouted when I finally opened the door, standing firmly in the doorway to block his entrance. "Are you seriously kicking me out over a stupid motorcycle?" "It's not about the motorcycle, Matt," I said, surprising myself with how steady my voice was. "It's about years of taking advantage of me. It's about theft, lies, and manipulation. And yes, I'm kicking you out." His face went through a fascinating transformation. Shock, anger, disbelief, and then, his default, manipulation. "You can't do this," he said, his voice softening. "I have nowhere to go. Is this really how you want to treat your only brother? What would Mom and Dad say?" "They'd be ashamed," I said quietly. "Not of me setting boundaries, but of you stealing from your sister. I've enabled this for too long, and it stops today." When he realized the guilt trip wasn't working, he switched to anger. "Fine, I don't need your charity anyway. But that stuff is mine, and I'm taking it inside." "No, you're not," I said. "Your things stay outside. You're not welcome in this house." He tried to push past me, but I stood my ground. "I've already called the police," I added. "I've reported the motorcycle and Grandma's earrings as stolen. You can take your belongings and leave, or you can wait here and explain to the officers why you sold items that weren't yours to sell." The mention of police made him step back. "You wouldn't," he said, but his voice lacked conviction. "I already did," I replied. "Oh, and I've frozen our joint checking account and removed you from my cell phone plan. Your phone will stop working at midnight." Matt's face turned an alarming shade of red. "You psycho bitch," he shouted, loud enough for my neighbors to hear. "After everything I've done for you." I almost laughed. "What exactly have you done for me, Matt? Name one thing." He couldn't, of course. Instead, he kicked one of the trash bags, scattering his clothes across my driveway. "You'll regret this," he threatened, then stormed to his car and sped off, leaving his belongings behind. I hadn't expected him to abandon his stuff, but I wasn't about to chase after him. I simply brought everything back into the garage and sent him a text. "Your belongings are in the garage. You have 30 days to arrange a time to pick them up, or they'll be donated." His response came hours later. "Let me back in the house, or I'll tell everyone what a crazy, controlling bitch you really are." I didn't respond. Instead, I contacted a lawyer about the stolen motorcycle. Since I had all the paperwork and Matt had admitted to selling it in text messages, she assured me we had a strong small claims case for the full value. She also helped me draft a formal letter demanding repayment, which would strengthen our position in court. The social fallout was intense. Matt made good on his threat, telling anyone who would listen that I was having a mental breakdown, that I was abusive, that I was punishing him for our parents' death. Some people believed him. My phone filled with messages from childhood friends and distant relatives questioning my decision, telling me that family is family, and that I should forgive him. But others saw through it. My closest friend Jen stopped by with dinner and a supportive hug. "It's about time," she said. "I've been wondering how long you were going to let him treat you like an ATM." My boss, who had met Matt at a staff barbecue and clearly found him lacking, simply said, "Good for you," when I explained why I needed a personal day. 3 days after the lockout, Matt showed up at my workplace. He'd clearly been sleeping in his car. His clothes were wrinkled and he hadn't shaved. He cornered me in the parking lot as I was leaving. "This has gone on long enough," he said, trying to sound firm but coming across as desperate. "I need to come home." "It's not your home, Matt," I said. "It never was. It's my home, and you were a guest who overstayed his welcome by about 2 years and 11 months. "What am I supposed to do?" he demanded. "Live in my car forever?" "You have options," I said. "You could get a job and rent an apartment like every other adult. You could apologize sincerely, pay me back for the motorcycle and earrings, and agree to my terms if you ever want to stay with me again." "Terms?" he scoffed. "What am I, a child?" "You're certainly acting like one," I replied. "My terms are simple. You get a steady job and keep it for 6 months. You attend therapy weekly. You pay me $200 a month in rent, which is still a bargain. You respect my property and ask before borrowing anything. And you never ever sell something that belongs to me again." Matt's face clouded with anger. "That's ridiculous. I'm family, not some tenant." "Those are my terms," I said, unlocking my car. "Take them or leave them." He chose to leave them. That night, he tried to break into my house through the back door. My new security camera caught him in the act, and I called the police. They arrived quickly, but Matt had already fled. The officer took a report and recommended I file for a restraining order, which I did the next day. The restraining order was a wake-up call for some of Matt's defenders. It's one thing to believe someone is being mean to their brother. It's another to justify breaking and entering. Several mutual friends who had been firmly on Team Matt reached out to apologize for not hearing my side. A week later, I received a surprising message from Amber, Matt's ex-girlfriend from 2 years ago. "I saw your brother's posts about you being crazy, and I just wanted to say I believe you, not him. He stole from me too. My laptop, my credit card, even my medication. When I confronted him, he told everyone I was unstable and making it up. I should have warned you then, but I was too embarrassed." Her message was validating, but also heartbreaking. How many others had Matt manipulated and stolen from? How much damage had my enabling allowed him to do? The next few weeks were quiet. Matt had apparently found somewhere to crash, as his belongings remained unclaimed in my garage. I focused on myself, spending time with supportive friends, seeing a therapist to work through my guilt, and even taking motorcycle safety classes in preparation for eventually replacing my Harley. Then, on a rainy Tuesday evening, I received a text from a number I didn't recognize. "This is Matt. New phone. Can we talk?" For real this time. I agreed to meet him at a coffee shop near my work. Public, safe, and on my terms. He was waiting when I arrived, looking thinner and more subdued than I'd ever seen him. The swagger was gone. "I got fired from Lenny's," he said, referring to a bar where he'd picked up shifts occasionally. "And Jason's kicking me out of his couch. Turns out sleeping arrangements have time limits even with friends." He attempted a smile that didn't reach his eyes. I waited, saying nothing, giving him space to continue. "I've been thinking about what you said," he went on, staring into his coffee. "About Mom and Dad being ashamed." His voice cracked slightly. "I think you're right. I haven't been who they raised me to be." It was the first genuinely reflective thing I'd heard him say in years. "I found a program," he continued. "It's like job training plus counseling for people who need to get their lives together. It's 6 months and they help with housing during it. I've already applied. He hesitated. "I need a reference. And honestly, you're the only person who knows me well enough to write one that matters." I studied his face, looking for signs of the old manipulation. "Why should I believe this is real, Matt? How do I know this isn't just another angle to get what you want?" "You don't," he admitted. "I wouldn't believe me either, but I'm asking for a chance to prove it. Not to move back in, not for money, just a reference letter. That's it." I told him I'd think about it, and I did. After verifying that the program was legitimate, I wrote the letter. Honest, but hopeful, detailing both Matt's challenges and his potential. To my surprise, he was accepted. That was 8 months ago. Since then, Matt has completed the program and found a job as an assistant manager at a sporting goods store. He's been seeing a therapist weekly, and while he still struggles with follow through sometimes, the changes are real. He's renting a room from a coworker and has even started making small payments toward what he owes me for the motorcycle. As for me, I used the insurance money to buy a new Harley, a blue Sportster, even nicer than my original. The first time I rode it to meet Matt for our monthly check in dinner, his face showed genuine happiness for me, maybe for the first time in our adult lives. "It suits you," he said. "Way better than the black one." I've learned that setting boundaries isn't the opposite of love. Sometimes it's the most loving thing you can do. Our parents would be proud, I think. Not because everything is perfect between Matt and me. It's not. But because we're both finally growing up in the ways we needed to. Our relationship is cautiously rebuilding on new foundations. I still don't entirely trust him, and he still sometimes slips into old patterns. But now we both recognize it when it happens. The other day, he actually caught himself mid-guilt trip and apologized without prompting. Small victories. Updated. Thank you all for the incredible support and advice throughout this journey. The motorcycle situation is resolved. The buyer was actually understanding once I explained, and I recovered most of its value through insurance. Many asked if Matt and I could ever have a normal relationship again. We're working on it, slowly. It's a strange mix of being his sister, but also enforcing boundaries like a parent would. Have you ever had to completely rebuild trust with a family member? Is it even possible?